Hey guys, what is up? Andrew coming at you from Washington, D.C. The fact that I was in Washington, D.C. really got me thinking about the thing that's happening right now is they can't decide on what to do in the United States with healthcare. And I thought it'd be very interesting then to kind of go into it. My experience of being someone that's lived in the Swedish society for 5 years and my experience with healthcare, and then how it's been in the United States. Some of the pros and cons, I guess, of both systems, but overall, that I like it. And also going into this, I can't realistically say that the United States can afford to give healthcare to everybody. So I'm going to stay away from like kind of the political side, but more just like my experience because I think that societies can learn things from each other and what's the good thing to do. So I'm going to try to tackle this issue because I think it's important and I'm happy with my experience in Sweden. But I'm also going to try to be realistic. For example, Sweden is a country of 9 million people, and my state alone, Pennsylvania, is 12 million people. And I think if you actually look at how much we spend on healthcare already, it's a lot. And so, anyways, my experience in Sweden has been really positive for the most part. Now, I want to state that the dental and eye care is not covered under regular insurance, but I found out there's like a small amount of money you get. So when I went to go to the dentist here instead of the United States, it only cost me like $25 or $30. If you have clean teeth, it wasn't bad. Like if you didn't need cavities or anything like that. Anyways, great system. But you do pay a copay in Sweden when you first go. It's like 100 crowns if you go see a doctor. And once you pay like $100 or so, or 1,000 crowns, or a little bit more than 1,000 crowns, you get this card called like a free card that is good for the rest of the year, which is fantastic. And that's the same for prescription drugs. The one thing I noticed with my experience there at first is I had to change my perspective because I was so used to being sick in America, going to see a doctor, and then them just giving me pills. Okay, you need this. And antibiotics. I would always get antibiotics. Sometimes I probably needed them, other times I didn't. So far, my experience in Sweden is they don't want to give it to you unless they absolutely need to. And I've realized that that's actually kind of a better option. And yeah, that's one of my experiences. The next thing I'll notice, and I could be wrong, but if we look around in the United States right now, we have a huge opioid epidemic where if you ask anybody in my age or older, there's kids that we have lost in our schools. In the States, like our classmates when we were growing up, or people that I just know in my life that have unfortunately died because of this. Part of the reason I think is that people are so easily getting prescriptions that there's a little bit of profit involved. That's just kind of my thought process on it. But overall, I just don't see that happening in Sweden. It seems that they're much more careful of giving out drugs, and I think in America we feel kind of, like I said when I first came to Sweden, like I don't want to say an entitlement, but you just feel like you need something when you're sick. You automatically feel better. It's like psychological. So that's an example. The next thing is, it is nice that in the Swedish society, like when I do pay my taxes, that I feel like, okay, like people are going to be taken care of healthcare wise. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in Europe over time. And again, I don't understand this, so I'm not trying to raise the alarm. But at least what's happening in the United States is that all the baby boomers are going to retire. And it'll be interesting to see what that does to the healthcare system there and here. But overall, I think that the experience that we have in Sweden is very great. And I feel that my taxes goes to help others. And I also think it's great to know that not getting sick is a way that's going to bankrupt you. I mean, in our world in the United States, you get sick, and that could happen, especially getting cancer or anything else. And the costs in the United States is so much higher. It seems like it's not a good place for like doctors to work or like patients. Now, onto the pros of the U.S. system, though. I mean, if you can afford it, the healthcare system is top notch. You can choose your own doctor. A lot of people seem to like that. And, I guess maybe you can make an argument that the Swedish system might be a little bit slower. I haven't been in dire need of service in Sweden. I'm relatively young and in good shape now, so maybe it's hard for me to really say. But overall, it's interesting. But that would be the two main things that I've noticed is that the con in our system is that in the United States, you pay for health insurance, and if you have a copay, and I understand that we're paying for it in Sweden with our taxes, and we have a much higher tax rate than you do in the United States, but it is interesting. Now, what steps can the United States do? I'm not sure. I don't really have the answer on either side. That's not what my YouTube channel is about, is not giving my opinion on how to fix things, just kind of explaining everything. Because I have to be realistic. One of the things we need to do in the United States, I think, is work on getting healthier. And it's hard when you drive cars everywhere, and people generally are more overweight than you will find in Europe. Europe does have an obesity problem, I think. And I think that over time it'll get worse in Europe. But overall, that's what we have in the United States right now. We are unhealthy people. We're very unhealthy for the most part. I mean, not everybody, but I mean, as a society, we're the most unhealthy and we're the most sick. And you have those two things to go together. I think, unfortunately, a lot of times, I mean, that's just the case. I wish there was a magic wand to fix it, but it's an expensive process. Could we afford to do it? I'm not so sure. So I'm not here to make the answers, but I hope and I think that you judge societies based on how they take care of other people that can't take care of themselves. I think that's a very, very important aspect to this. Can you take care of others? So overall, my experience being home has been fantastic. I love America and I love Sweden, but I think there's things that our societies can learn from each other, and it's a mess right now in the U.S. with healthcare. I'll give you an example. My sister had a friend who was a soccer player, and she got one of her legs injured and needed a surgery, and I think the surgery was it was free in her country, but it cost the hospital like $10,000. And then the other surgery that she got in the United States, the university paid for because she was a soccer athlete, and that cost the school $30,000. So it's almost like 2.5 to 3 times the cost for some of the services. Again, if you can afford it, it's great. But if you can't, you're kind of left in the dust. So I don't know what the answer is, but I have to say that is one thing that I think Europe is getting right, and I hope to always continue to be able to afford, but you have to make sure that societies are healthy. I just think all societies in general, whether it's Europe or the United States, you also have to take into account mental health. Mental health is very important, and maybe sometimes there's still a stigma with that, just because there's not a physical problem, it's more of a mental one, but I think that mental health is just as important. How you feel about yourself is just as important. So that's another thing we have to look at. So I'm trying to be neutral here, and I hope that I have been for the most part. I don't think it's realistic that the U.S. can afford to give everybody free healthcare. I'm not sure if it's possible. But then I started to think of other things, and this goes against kind of my American way of thinking, but should we we tax cigarettes, should we tax unhealthy food? Should we tax drinks? Because the main thing I see is that the drink sizes, the food portions are about the same, but the drink sizes are massive. The drinks you get in the United States are massive. Now, I think people need to be responsible for themselves and take care of themselves and choose what they eat. But at the same time, maybe some of this stuff being readily available, it's, to me, not a good sign. So I hope that America can get healthier. If everybody could just walk an hour every day, I think they would see a huge change with everything. I hope that in the future we can figure out how it works, and I so far have liked my experience in the Swedish healthcare system. It is universal, not perfect. It's not perfect. No system's perfect. But knowing that if you get sick or you hurt yourself, that it's not going to break the bank on you personally if an accident happens is good. I'm not saying it always is in the States, but some people maybe can't afford the health service that they have and might neglect going to a doctor because they don't want to pay for it. I think a lot of things like that happen over time. So I don't know what the answer is, and I am not an expert on this. I'm just giving you my perspective. I hope you liked it. And then the funny final thing is this, and I'm not even going to get into this because, countries have militaries and stuff like that, and I know it's not realistic that we can't have militaries. But if you think about the amount of money that's spent every year to destroy stuff, to blow things up, or, used in war, and I understand that's an aspect you need. But if we didn't spend it on that, and we spend it on healthcare and on educating, the children of the world, and maybe trying to go to space more, it's just an interesting thought. I understand probably not a reality. I'm not trying to sound like a hippie or something. It's just something I've always thought about. So I hope you enjoyed my perspective on this. If this is the kind of video you like, I appreciate it if you give me a like. If you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe. This is a topic I've been thinking about for a while. I've been kind of careful on, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.